Welcome to The Holistic Truth, sponsored by Nutritional Frontiers. Nutritional Frontiers is a Pittsburgh-based professional nutraceutical company founded by Dr. James Weiner and Jamie Dorley, and they are celebrating their 12th anniversary. All of the Nutritional Frontiers formulations are 100% guaranteed for purity and potency and follow the highest quality control standards today, including CGMP manufacturing facilities, certificates of analysis, and third-party testing. Want the truth?
You can't handle the truth!
And now, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. It's Nutritional Frontiers and the Holistic Truth.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Holistic Truth, your free classroom on the air. My name is Tracey Stroup, and I will be one of your hosts today along with Joe Messino as we embrace another great health topic today. You can find us right here, sponsored by Nutritional Frontiers on KHB Radio 3 days a week. Monday with the infamous Jamie and Joe show. Tuesday, Talking with Joe and Tracey. And then Thursday is Health Conscious with Candace. So make sure you tune in at 11 and 8 a.m. For some great health information, as always. But we have a very special guest on today, so I'm going to bring Joe on to say good morning.
Good morning. Oh, man, this is a beautiful morning. I'm going to actually do the show from my patio in the back. I'm going to sit outside.
All right, you're going to get some vitamin D.
Oh, well, I always get that. But, yeah.
Well, Joe, I was listening to those great commercials this morning, being programmed. I can't believe some of the rhetoric out there, but that's for another time. Today, we have an amazing guest on this morning, and this isn't a topic that I heard a lot about. And, when we decided to do this topic, I thought, oh, this is interesting. I guess we'll find out more about this. But Dr. Kim Fuhrmann is going to be with us today, and she's actually talking about topical steroid withdrawal. Have you heard about that, Joe?
Well, I've heard of steroid withdrawal, but this is interesting. Never really heard of it, being specific to topical steroids. So this is something different, something new. This is going to be interesting.
I know. It's going to be awesome. I just want to remind everybody that education is the way that Nutritional Frontiers, and it's basically our brand standard. We love to help our practitioners utilize formulas in unique ways. And even today, learning about this new and exciting topic. But we do have a webinar coming up tomorrow evening on Facebook. We do a Facebook live stream. And I hear it's quite the collection of people that will be doing the live stream. Who's on tomorrow, Joe? Who could that be?
Well, the rumor is that by popular demand, I think the Terrible Trio is back. You, Jamie Dorley, and me. I don't know. This could be trend setting because I know we started a lot of things up the last time the three of us were on.
Yeah, and we like to do the commentary of what my doctor said. And just to give people an explanation, this is a live stream that you can catch right on our Facebook page. So the only way that you can tune in is by actually liking our page on Facebook and clicking the notification bell so that you know when we are coming live onto Facebook. But we did what my doctor said last time, and we basically, dispelled the myth about a few big topics, cholesterol being one, that's a bad guy, vitamin D toxicity. We talked about so much, so we'll probably continue that with, I'm going to probably say we're going to go with the healthy libido with men and women and the gradual decline in the acceptance of that in our society. The weight gain, the loss of muscle mass. I mean, obviously some of this is due to age, but a lot of it's not. And right. I think we can help a lot of people tomorrow night understand, that there are things that they can do.
Well, it's one of my favorite topics, so I'm looking forward to that.
I know.
My title for the show was actually rejected. How to look good, feel good, and have great sex.
Yeah. Well,
But that is the real title. Okay, just so everybody knows, that's the real title.
It is the real title.
Yeah.
And it's important for people to have healthy, relationships as they move into the golden years. It's one of the things that people just, in their marriages or whatever, just forget about. So, and they just accept it. And I think it creates a lot of issues because, it's usually not at the same time. It's not usually at the same time with your spouse that your libido is decreasing and theirs is increasing. That's usually how it works.
Right.
So it'll be a good topic tomorrow night. So tune into that, 7 p.m., Nutritional Frontiers, Facebook Live. Make sure you go like our page today and click the notifications button. But today, without further ado, we're going to bring on Dr. Kim Fuhrmann. Not only is she one of my best friends in the entire world, but she is beyond organic farmer on our father's farm in Virginia. She's a mother of 9, which I love.
Wow.
And she's a naturopathic doctor practicing there. This is alternative health. She does organic farming. She's one of my mentors because I just love talking to her about all the unique ways that she combines lifestyle, holistic health and practicing, and she applies it to everybody. So without further ado, Dr. Kim, are you on? Are you with us?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. So
hi, how are you guys?
We're doing good. We're doing good. So, Kim, can you just give us a little background about yourself and let the listeners know who you are and what you do and how you got into this entire practice of alternative health?
Sure. I wasn't grown and raised natural. I was grown and raised kind of industrial, and I went through immunizations in school and medicines and antibiotics and all those things, and cooking from a package and cooking and eating from restaurants and stores. And then God called us to be missionaries in Africa. At the time, we had 3 kids. So we went to Chad, Africa, which was the number 3 poorest country in the world and the number 1 most corrupt. And it's not a good place to go if you don't know how to cook and eat real food. It's not a good place to go if you don't know anything about natural health because you get sick all the time. So we got sick all the time, and I had 3 more kids while we were there. And it was while we were there that God got my attention about the design of our bodies and the way that we should treat them. And one of my kids almost died, and that was the impetus for really learning. And so then I just started learning, and practicing until when we finally got called home, we were natural beyond organic farmers because it seemed like in America, just like in Chad, the reason we went there was to help people with education, with food, and with medical, and use that as a way to help share the gospel. So at home, it seems like in America, even though we're rich and we have plenty to eat, it's not real food. Even though we have really awesome, huge medical facilities, we have horrible medical care. So the same issues are in America, too. We don't have good education, we don't have good medical care, and we don't have good food. So that's why we do what we do.
Wow. I think that was one of the best summaries I've ever heard.
I like the phrase grown and raised. Usually you hear born and raised. You don't hear grown and raised. But, boy, it really fits. I mean, I'm stealing that one, Kim, right off the bat. Okay? How were you grown and raised? That's great.
Well, I'd say that my first batch of kids was industrial, my first 3. My second 3 were like a learning batch in my, getting my PhD in how to live life. And the third batch are organically grown and raised. And so the third batch are the ones that they have an 8-hour fever and they bounce out of it. They've never had a shot. They've never been to the doctor. We went to a chiropractor and they had to write on the form who their general practitioner was. They were like, do I write mom here? And I was like, sure.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Perfect.
But it's true. I mean, and we've lost that confidence as parents, and we've lost that right most of the time. So You are correct. This is our country is really sick, and when I mean that was complete truth that you spoke. We have poor education, poor medical practices, poor health, and even though we are a rich country, we have extremely poor food, and we make really poor choices with all the available information and education out there. So really, people are choosing to be unhealthy. They're just choosing it out of sheer almost cognitive dissonance, right? They don't want to know. And even if the information is presented to them, they just can't possibly believe it. So it's a tough field to educate in. But one of the things that we became aware of this past couple of months, that it just popped up because Kim and I talk a lot. We're good friends, and we both love the Lord, so we have lots of cool conversations, but we also talk a lot about natural health practices, and we share ideas and solutions. And one of the things that have come up across your practice has been this topical steroid withdrawal that you've seen over and over again, and I never heard of it. And so I think this is more common, and I think it's really misdiagnosed. People are missing it. So can you explain what you've been seeing and what it is, and give us a little insight on that?
Sure. Well, it seems like there's some basic things that are across the board. So far, all the clients that I've seen presenting have some form of the MTHFR mutation. So they already have a problem detoxing. They were all vaccinated, and all of them developed eczema as small children. And so sometimes when I've talked to them, I've said, well, what's wrong with your skin is actually a mercy, because it could have been what's wrong with your brain. So they could be the kind that's like a spectrum injury, but these are ones that are injured to where their gut is so injured that their skin is just messed up. And so they try maybe natural things, or maybe they don't. And so then they start using topical steroids when they need to. One of them had shingles as a child. It was funny. She had shingles as a 7-year-old. That was new to me, too. And all the other kids in their family had chicken pox, but hers developed into shingles, and it never went away. So she was always using a topical steroid to handle what was wrong with her arms, and it spread to her face. So this made it difficult growing up, to have this issue. But then there was another client that came across the way that with the same issue. Another client came across the way with the same issue. Now I'm starting to see it everywhere. And what I found when I was helping this one girl, hers had spread and gone into MRSA, like it was a systemic skin infection, because all of this red that was all over her body, this presentation of this horrible rash, we couldn't figure it out. Her husband, when they got, I'm kind of all over the place, but so this one client, her husband, when they got married, he decided, let's stop all the steroids. Let's just stop. So they just stopped. She was on 5 different kinds of steroids to try to keep everything at bay, to have a pretty wedding day and pretty pictures. And her whole skin blew up. Her face blew up. Her neck blew up. All down her trunk blew up. And always in her life history, it had been just face and arms. It was everywhere. And it burned and itched. So it was more intense than anything else she'd ever experienced. And the creams and things weren't working. So the husband's like, quit taking them. So she quit, got worse and worse. And then that's when it went into MRSA. That's when she came to me. So we were dealing with that naturally in ways that, in my experience, always work. It always works. You treat with a systemic infection very aggressively. You help people support their immune system. You get up underneath all their nutritive deficiencies in their gut. And over time, it usually pretty quickly works. And it wasn't working. The infection went away, but the rash didn't. And so I was up all night praying for her one night, and I went down and I always ask God, like, what do I Google? So I don't waste my time Googling the whole world. And I typed in a sentence, and this website came up, and it's Itsan, ITSAN.com. And it's a mainstream medical action group, that it was formed because topical steroids are so dangerous, and they're so easy to access, and they're so commonly prescribed. And they have horrible, horrible side effects. And we all know about that. Anybody knows if you suppress your immune system, if you suppress your immune responses with a steroid, you're totally jacking up your immune system for the long term. You're hurting your thyroid. You're hurting your adrenals. You're hurting everything because you're stuffing the symptom and just playing whack-a-mole with the symptom and hitting it in the head and making it break out somewhere else worse. So we know that. But it's so easy to get them. And if somebody has itchy something this or hives that, they just go get the cortisol cream from Walmart and rub it everywhere. So some of the people that get this topical steroid thing are healthcare workers in old folks' homes who apply it to the old people without gloves maybe, or it gets on their skin regularly. So it's not even the old person receiving the steroid. It's a person putting the steroid on their child or an old person, and then the parent might get it, or the care worker might get it. So very interesting, and it's exactly this thing that happened to this girl. And so there's on this website, there's like a doctor page of information, and I looked at the symptoms, and the symptomology is horrible, poor things that get this thing, and it's so common to get this. And so they're actually making like a lot of...
I'm gonna pause you a second, Dr. Kim, just for a second. So I just want to summarize. So this topical steroid withdrawal is like red burning skin, possibly a rash, can go into a systemic infection if that person is scratching it or it's bleeding and bacteria enters in there, so it can go into the bloodstream. But this is actually when someone stops using it. So if I'm looking at that right, it's been reported in long-term users of topical steroid after they stop the use of steroids. Includes redness of the skin, burning, itching, maybe followed by skin peeling. I've heard that in people. And this almost sounds like this is more common than we think, and people don't realize they are reacting or having a withdrawal from this from these steroids, long-term use of steroids.
Yeah, and doctors don't diagnose it, so a person who's really suffering goes in and gets a cortisol shot. That's the solution. So until they properly diagnose
steroids.
Right. So they properly diagnose it, but then I'm looking at the list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 symptoms, 12 symptoms here that these people develop. And the people that I'm dealing with have developed all of them. There's a drug for every symptom, and every single it's an oral antihistamine. There's you can give pregabalin, whatever that is. You can give topical and oral antibiotics and antivirals and antifungals. You can do immunosuppressants. You can give sleeping pills and anxiety pills and antidepressants. You can use all kinds of other creams that are terrible. And so they didn't have solutions even on this website that were natural. So now I'm thinking, so you're really going to put some, because it takes 2 years to back out of this ditch clinically. I don't think it's going to take 2 years naturally, but that's how long it takes clinically. So if you put somebody on an anti-anxiety, antidepressant, sleeping pills, all that stuff for years, and even this antibiotic or the systemic immunosuppressant, then what do you do to the body? So now what have you done? And so so these poor people, and you can see, I mean, I'm working with these clients closely. It makes you crazy to feel like this. Can you imagine? There's like nothing you can do to make the burning stop, and it's everywhere. And there's nothing you can do to get relief, and it's itching and it's burning. And if you itch, you're relieving it, but then it starts to burn. It's just awful. And
Dr. Kim, can I ask you a quick question about that? I mean, is there? This is going to be a really simple question. I mean, we have a natural topical antibiotic, antiviral, antifungal in unrefined coconut oil. Does that ever provide a relief?
Well, I think so, but it doesn't provide long-term relief.
Right.
I made a salve for my clients that has like plantain herb in it, and calendula, and coconut oil, and yarrow, and a bunch of different herbs that help soothe. Roman chamomile oil, things like that definitely help to soothe more. You know, when you add the herb to the coconut oil, that seems to give soothing. And then enemas and liver tincture, and supporting the liver crazily, like with different kind of cleansing, or with the different products from, I have used Nutritional Frontiers products to help my people.
Have you ever experimented with using either CBD or cannabis mixed in a paste with coconut oil?
Yes, we did that, and we take they take the CBD throughout the day. You know, like small doses throughout the day when it gets a little crazy. The CBD oil mixed in with the cream definitely seems to help stop. And then it's just a thing, it's like a time thing. It takes some time to process this junk and get out of your body, and essentially you've kind of destroyed an organ. You've destroyed organs as you've used these topical steroids, usually for years, you know? And so they've got to figure out, like, which organs need supported and systemically supported. And natural health supports all organs. If you eat right, if you don't eat glyphosate, if you drink enough water, if you get sun, if you breathe, if you think good thoughts, if you pray, that helps everybody. And so these people have to really work hard with meditation and prayer. They have to work hard on even thinking outside of themselves. I always tell my clients, ask God to give you something else to think about. Don't think about you so much, because it's just, you're going to have to muscle through this. You can't think about you all the time. And I know it's really hard. So distract yourself. Get a counseling degree online or something, you know, like something you're interested in. Go be an herbalist. Go be a nutritionist and get a certification online, and just distract yourself watching videos that are making your brain better while your body muscles through this thing. But the CBD definitely helps.
Well, it'd probably help even neurologically, just to calm down that autonomic nervous system that's probably just in severe fight or flight, not only from the physical issues, but the mental, emotional trauma that this would have to cause. Because people choose steroids usually to offset something on the skin, right? Because they don't want something on their face or their arms, so they do this, and then they become addicted to it. And actually looking this up and just trying to get a better understanding, there's two different types of symptom withdrawals. There's one that comes out like an eczema and a dermatitis. And then there's a second type that affects people who use steroids for acne, which causes pimple-like bumps, deeper bumps, redness, and swelling. And the list of symptoms that can appear: raw red sunburn, flaking skin, fluid oozing, blisters, swelling, red swollen arms, increased sensitivity to heat and cold, nerve pain, dry irritated eyes, hair loss, swollen lymph nodes, dry red skin, trouble sleeping, appetite changes, fatigue, depression, anxiety. My gosh, I'd take the acne, you know, like craziness. And there's actually an addiction that they've classified to steroids, which they say is called TSA, and then a withdrawal symptom called TSW. So they actually have medical terms for this. And usually when you see that, you know that this has been around for a while. So much so that the medical community has developed a term and an insurance code so they can get paid now to treat it. So
and a drug.
I mean, and a drug. So now we got more steroids to offset a steroid. It's like giving somebody that's addicted to crack a drug to get off crack. Oh, wait, we do that too. We do that for heroin, too. We do. And around and around we go. What about DMG?
Yes, she's doing DMG. Well, all of them are doing that. And they're doing that throughout the day. They are seeing big changes and big improvements, some better than others. They're doing fatty acids to help nourish their skin from the inside out. Really, it's a healing from the inside out that has to take place, and it's a systemic organ healing where you just want to support all the organs and love them and make all the food you eat easy to digest so that your energies and your time and your brain power, subconscious, are not being spent on digesting big, huge steaks and, you know, big, huge bowls of ice cream or, you know, stuff like that. You just don't want to even do that. Or even salads. I've said, why don't you wilt your salad with an apple cider vinegar-based dressing so that it's partly digested. By the time you chew it, it's easy to chew now. And when you swallow it, it hits your stomach, and it's already being digested. All of them are on Prozyme and Betazyme to help with their digestive processes, and some kind of an intestinal restorative product. And so some of them are drinking colostrum. Like at my farm, I can give you colostrum every week because it's springtime and summertime, and the cows are having calves all the time, and so we can give people fresh colostrum to take every day on an empty
pause
stomach.
there, because I know we talk about this stuff, and Joe, who's like his brain's on steroids with information, but people may not understand colostrum. So I want to pause and just walk back, because I want people to understand that if they're experiencing these symptoms, they can contact you. That's first. They can get in touch with you and get the modalities put in place to help them. But supporting all the organs, especially pathways of detoxification, right? So we're talking about supporting the digestive system with restoration, so probiotics like superbiotic, GI complete, that's going to have L-glutamine, the aloe, lots of good things to help soothe and heal and seal those tight junctions. And then, they could utilize things like Live Clear or kidney and bladder, KMB tincture. But then you said colostrum. So colostrum, can you explain what that is and why it's beneficial?
Well, it's first milk in mammals. It's the first milk a mammal makes when they have their baby. And it's got all the immune properties that the baby needs to grow and function and develop their immune system, and to also prepare their gut, which hasn't had any food yet. It's just been hooked to an umbilical cord, not being used at all yet. So it's for a brand new itty-bitty baby immune system and a brand new itty-bitty baby digestive system that's just been born. You get this beautiful stuff that the mother is making by eating healthy food. If it's a cow at my house, they're eating beautiful grass that doesn't have anything on it but sun and water and minerals, and drinking fresh water from a really deep well or from a nice spring-fed pond. And so that beautiful stuff has all the immune properties and nutritive properties that little calf needs to get its little immune system and its gut going. And same with human babies, as long as the mom is having a clean, good diet. But even if the mom doesn't have a good, clean diet, their colostrum is amazing for mothers going to the baby. Same principle. Like, here's this little thing that's never been used except to swallow amniotic fluid and pee it out. Like, that's all that's happened with swallowing and digesting so far. And then when the baby is born, you get it right to the breast. They get this first milk from the mom that is specially designed to heal their little gut and to prepare their little gut to receive nourishment. And then the right nourishment goes from colostrum to breast milk. That's the best case scenario, which has got loads of probiotic, which has loads of good fats, which has loads of beautiful nutrients, if the mom is well nourished, obviously. And so at our farm, there's a lot of colostrum-based products out there that come, they're bovine, but I don't know. I'm not into those as much unless you can trace the sources. Because what in the world? Like, I wouldn't want colostrum from some dairy farm with, this confinement dairy and rat grain-fed and disgusting and full of antibiotics. No, thank you. It's still probably better than the milk that they produce, but I wouldn't want any part of it. But our cows are out. They get like 10 acres of they get an acre of fresh grass each a day, and they get moved twice a day this time of year, and they have access to gorgeous water and minerals. And people who are experts in cows look at our cows, and it's like a different breed of animal. They're like, wait a minute, they're so fat and sleek and amazing. Oh, my goodness. So those cows are having babies all the time right now, and we save their colostrum. So we give the baby the colostrum. Because the cows get milk, they do produce more, supply and demand. So we let our baby cows stay with the moms, and then we milk the cows to get extra. So this colostrum is the first day, second day, and third day colostrum. We label it that way. So a lot of my immune-compromised people can say they want it. Like if they have a herd share with us, currently that's legal to have. So they have a herd share with us, they can get direct raw dairy product from us in Virginia. I know that in Pennsylvania you guys have that too, which is beautiful, but you need to find the right farmer. You need to ask good questions. And I would go check them out with my own eyes before I drank anything from anybody. And, so this colostrum would go in and heal and seal tight junctions in the gut. And I tell my clients, if your body is this trashed, you want to treat it like a baby, you become like a little baby and you feed yourself baby food and you take care of yourself like you're a baby. That means you go to bed early. That means you take a nap. That means that you eat baby food that's been pre-digested, whether it's in a shake or whether it's in a smoothie or whether it's, beautifully digested like fermented foods or slow-cooked meats and bone broth. You treat yourself. You eat things that you would feed a baby. You do not eat a piece of pizza right now. You don't eat birthday cake at the party right now. It's just not your time right now to do those things. And then when you heal, you're going to have to decide whether that's worth it.
Yeah.
And there's
that's the part I think people miss is that they don't realize how much the body needs to recover. And, it's like that time and acting as if you're rehabilitating what you are. So, you know, it's kind of like somebody that would be addicted to alcohol. It's like you don't go into bars. Like you just don't do that. Don't put yourself in situations that are going to sabotage your health. And it's a great analogy of like, yes, just treat yourself as a mother would nurture her baby. But the colostrum is awesome. When I did the lecture with Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, she talks a lot about the innate immune system versus the adaptive and vaccination and toll-like receptors. And one of the things that I've learned, I read this book, and I honestly can't remember the name of it, something like The Hidden Molecule or something like that. And this doctor talked all about toll-like receptors as well. And where they are activated is through the colostrum of the milk of the mother. And we had an entire decade of children, probably 50s, 60s, when all of that was shifting, that breast milk is bad and bottle is best. And doctors were telling mothers, like, don't breastfeed. You know, now what happened was we lost that generation of toll-like receptors because the only way you can get them is from the mother's colostrum. And those toll-like receptors are literally part of our innate immune system that can identify. They're like a fingerprint to you. They can identify things that are not you versus things that are you. So even before your body gets to the adaptive immune system where you're producing antibodies, your innate immune system toll-like receptors will destroy viruses, will destroy bacteria. It's the most amazing process. And actually, she talks specifically about TLR9, which is for HPV. And what happened after this entire generation of women who didn't breastfeed, our cervical cancers increased because we lost the toll-like receptor for TLR9 against HPV. And once that got past our innate immune system, it became a virus that created an issue with cancer cells in the cervix. And now they think, you know, Gardasil is going to cure the world, and basically what it is paralyze all our kids. So, long story short, colostrum is extremely valuable to reestablish the innate immune pathways of toll-like receptors, especially for people that were not breastfed, which is a lot of our community.
Well, can I interject something? I mean, Dr. Kim, you may be aware of this study, but about 12 years ago, maybe a little longer, I'm not sure now, I've lost track, but there was a study done in Italy. And the purpose of the study was to find out what was causing colic in young babies. And they traced it back to two causes. And those two causes were lack of breastfeeding and being born cesarean instead of natural. Because all of the things that you said that you get from the breast milk are then complemented by what you get through the birth canal. And that forms, the combined effort of the two is what forms your entire immune system. And so not only did they find what was causing the colic, but they also, by accident, found what was causing allergies, asthma, up and including ADD and ADHD, and up to and including autism. So it was an amazing study. And it's two simple procedures or acts or ways of life. Just nurse your baby, and unless there's a physical complication, you know, the natural birth. You know, people are picking birth dates now and having cesarean section and picking the day they want their baby born. And you know, and this is just incredible because they're just robbing them of this this life-giving, you know, procedure.
And that's funny because that's what it's become, right? It's become a procedure. It's become a medical procedure, and it's not a medical procedure. Birth is not a medical procedure.
Good point. Yes.
Life is not a medical procedure. And so if we look at medical as like an emergency case only, like if a kid of mine falls off a roof and their femur is sticking out, I'm going to the emergency room. Thank you very much for your fancy tools and your fancy things you know how to do and all your medical training. But if my kid has a fever and a runny nose, you know, that's not going to the doctor. If they cry and hold their ear, that's not going to a doctor. When it's time to have a baby, you know, you can have somebody who knows what to do, because they've got experience and have delivered thousands of babies in homes all over your area. There's really plenty of healthy ways to have babies. And even if you have that situation, like one of these clients of mine with the TSW was a C-section, then when she was nursing, her mom was breastfeeding, 2 weeks old, I think, when the baby was 2 weeks old, she had to go get a steroid because of some reaction she had to something. So now there's steroids in the breast milk for the 2-week-old baby, and the baby had colic. And so it's just interesting, like when you look all the way back. So, and another thing that's really hard for people to accept is that the medicine caused the problem. That's like a brain thing people have to accept. The last thing they want to think. I mean, people will say, oh, I think the Candy Clear is giving me a reaction. Oh, I think I'm getting a reaction from the X-Flame. I'm like, are you serious? You don't think it could be all that Advil you take? You don't think it could be the steroids you're putting on your body? I mean,
wow.
It's just it's a very interesting mentality.
I just got a text from one of our colleagues, Jeff Nisnik, who always listens to our shows, and I listen to his, and we do them together. But his text was, C-section also blocks the transference of energy through all the meridians going through the abdomen. How about that? I mean, there's another whole area of energy medicine, that's being overlooked just because you're cutting the body open. So if you're doing it voluntarily, there's so many complications.
Right.
Thanks,
yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah, and so even before you get that far in, right, I mean, just getting people to believe the physical part of it is hard enough. And you're right, Dr. Kim, like, it is so funny because people will be like, oh, no, I've been taking Motrin for years and I've never had a problem. I'm like, but you're in my office, so it hasn't really worked for you, has it? And now your digestive system is destroyed.
Richard Pryor said he didn't understand what was the big deal with cocaine. He'd been doing it for 10 years, and he wasn't addicted.
I mean, the stuff we tell ourselves is pretty amazing.
Right.
Oh, honestly. I just want to remind everybody you're listening to The Holistic Truth. This is your free classroom on the air, sponsored by Nutritional Frontiers. And we are talking with Dr. Kim Fuhrmann. She's an amazing practitioner out of Virginia. She's also a beyond organic farmer, mother of 9, woman of God. She's just awesome. And we're talking about topical steroid withdrawal, which is something we don't hear about, but is actually really, really common. And I think once people start to come to awareness, we're going to see a shift maybe in the idea of using steroids so liberally, like people just use them. I can't tell you how many people I hear all the time just like, oh, it's a doctor, he gave me a steroid. I would never take a steroid. Never. So, I don't know. I would have to be close to death to take a steroid, to be perfectly honest with you. I would. I mean, I just think they are the most horrible things for your body. They're terrible for the digestive system, destroy your brain. They are addictive. People can't produce their own endorphins anymore. Their body doesn't know how to regulate inflammation anymore. I mean, they just take over everything. And plus, they cause massive appetite increase, so you know that they're messing with your ghrelin and your leptin hormones. They're messing with your insulin levels. I just can't imagine the stress that they put on all the organ systems and functions in the body. But you had mentioned something earlier. You said that every single client that you've dealt with that had this issue had an MTHFR mutation. You want to touch on that a little bit and why that would be an inhibitor?
Right. That's just been my experience. I don't know. I don't have a ton of experience, like hundreds of examples. But in the people that I have, they just so happen to also have blood work or get blood work done that showed they present with MTHFR. So then they can't detoxify, and they can't detoxify their shots they had when they were babies. They can't detoxify the normal environmental toxins of life. And then they're putting on a horrible toxic chemical on their bodies to control a symptom. And their bodies get overloaded. And then one thing I was going to say is to caution, if anybody's listening and you're on a topical steroid, you can't just go cold turkey off of it, or you could trigger your body into this response. You have to taper yourself off of the medication slowly, even if it's an over-the-counter, or else it's weird. Like I know one lady who, when she heard how bad it was and she was trying to have a baby, she just went cold turkey off of it. Like, oh, I got to get off of this. It's hurting my thyroid. It's hurting this. It's hurting that. totally stopped and had been taking a little bit, putting a little bit on her ankle, on her little patch of eczema every single day for years. And she stopped, and her entire body blew up the next day. So you can't really just stop. If your body's used to getting its little fix, and then you just stop, you can trigger the outbreak. So the outbreak isn't always just over time. It can be over time, like over time, ba-boom, like now you're in for it. Or it could be, I just suddenly stopped. So obviously, if someone has MTHFR, that genetic mutation that interrupts your ability to create glutathione, or totally damages and destroys your ability to make glutathione, which is the number one detoxifier in your body, you can't detoxify normal life, let alone systemic compounds that you rub on yourself or shoot in yourself or eat. And so if you know that, you have that, you need to treat yourself like a baby, maybe for life, or at least until you've biohacked yourself out of the ditch you're in. And so people like that definitely need more glutathione. They need foods that are easy to digest, that are heavy, nutrient-dense foods. And I always tell people, if you have something on your spoon and you're putting it in your mouth, make it worth money. So my clients will text me a picture of their breakfast and say, how much money is that worth? And they tell me the ingredients. I'm like, well, that's $1,000 breakfast. And if you have been running your credit card on your life, your whole life, like just swiping your card every time you eat at a drive-through, and swiping your card with every soda, and swiping your card with every swipe of topical steroid or Advil or whatever list of medications people come to me on, they're in deep debt. And when they come to me in this kind of condition, they're bankrupt. And the bank has called them, and they can't pay it, and now they're like Chapter 13, and it's a big mess. Wow. And so you've got to work on paying yourself back to pay off that debt. And so whatever you eat, whatever supplements you take have to be 100% pure and tested, not Amazon junk, not Walmart, whatever, not Kroger, buy one, get one stuff. And your food shouldn't be some frozen, who cares, organic piece of thing that you microwave. It needs to be fresh, real, organic food, preferably from a farmer. And then when you're starting to eat like that, supplement like that, now you're paying yourself back. And I tell people, once you pay your debt off, get yourself out of the ditch, and you keep eating like that, you get rich. Like you
get a saving account. Yeah.
Exactly. And then now what do you do with money? If you have extra, you can give to people in need. You can go on a mission trip. You can do something with your health. You can play with your kids. You can go for a run with your husband. Your life can then roll into giving and doing and having a wonderful time physically, where before you're just sort of eking out an existence as an impoverished, indebted, destitute person health-wise. Yeah. So you want to bulk up your pockets with health cash, and that's what you have. But it takes a long time to pay off the debt of TSW.
Sounds like a book you need to write. What is your health wealth? Health and
wealth. Yeah.
What is your health wealth?
Dr. Carrie Reams always talked about that in RBTI, and I know that's the practice that you do, Kim. He talked about, everything, building up this reserve that, you basically take money out of your ATM every day and you spend it. You spend it, and every time you do something that detracts from your health, you're spending this money. Eventually, you're dipping into your savings account. And when your savings account is empty, that's called death. So that was kind of his analogy on that, which is awesome. And, I love how you put it, is that you're paying this debt off. And people don't realize, they think because of the medical model that they're going to take a pill and all their symptoms are going to go away. And I think that's the issue, is that we have become entitled, gluttonous, and instant gratification nation. We want it now. I don't want to wait, and you need to fix this for me, and I don't want to do anything about it. And that's not the way natural works. So, you and I have talked about this a lot. We kind of practice the same. Obviously, Joe, if you haven't gathered, Kim is very forward and just straight to the point. And, usually her words stick. And it's important because people need to know the truth. They need to know, this will be a while. And one of the things that I usually tell people is your body heals inside out, from the top down, in the reverse order of symptoms. So the first thing that you ever experience will be the last thing to go away. And for every year that you've been sick, it's 1 or 2 months to get better. So if they've been sick 10 years, it's going to be 20 months to get better. If they've been sick 5 years, it's going to be 10 months to get better. And that's just a generality, right? It's not written in stone. But people need the expectation set. And I think if we're more honest with people and just let them know, like you are, like here's what it's going to take, and if you're committed, I'll be committed, then they have a better expectation. And the other thing is, like you said, it's cost, right? So knowing what to budget for these supplements, knowing that they're going to have to invest in their health, and making sure that you're using quality products without all of the other stuff, because that's one of the things as practitioners that's so important. These people are already toxic. They don't need big box store brands of supplements that have fillers and dyes and gluten and dairy and, soy and all the other stuff. That's just going to be more stuff. And so that's what Nutritional Frontiers offers. It offers a very clean, high quality, right forms, right amount, and nothing else. And, with the MTHFR, that's a whole other protocol, right? I would imagine not only do you have to have antibacterial, antiviral in there to get to those deep infections and to help the immune system, gut restoration, liver support, kidney support, right? Now you have to have a methylation support.
Right.
And we actually have a couple that are really good. The Frontier Multi has methylated B, of course, our Super B Complete, and now our Women's Complete. So I think it's important that we have the right forms, too.
Right.
Dr. Kim, have you ever used our topical CBD cream?
Yes.
What's been your experience with that?
I love it. I think that if you mix it, too, with something like X-Flame for people that injure themselves and whatever, I have a lot of sports injury young guys that come through here, or me, because farmers, you're always doing something crazy. You don't even remember what you did. And so we have the CBD cream and the X-Flame, and we use that. We go up to like 4 of those X-Flames 3 times a day, and then the CBD cream the same, like with it. You just like rub whatever hurts with the CBD. And it's amazing how it makes the pain just stop. And I don't see the swelling. I usually put an arnica as well with it just because that's a really good anti-swelling thing. And then in between when we do the CBD, we ice. So I don't ice the CBD because I want it to penetrate and go deep into the tissue, into the circulatory system. I have used heat, even on a sports injury, to force whatever I want in there, like castor oil into the messed up back or into the messed up joint. And then you remove the heat and then ice it, until the next time you treat yourself. But if you put a little bit of heat, just a mild heat, like a hot water bottle heat on the affected area when you use that CBD cream, and it really, really soothes and is wonderful. For the people with this topical steroid thing, they stuff just trips them out. You just never know what's going to work and what's not going to work. And they need a lot of emotional support, and they need somebody in it with them, telling them they're brave and telling them they're doing a good job and telling them they're going to be okay. And I keep telling them, this is normal. I am so sorry. I am so sorry, but it's normal. What you're experiencing is really normal. And if you can muscle through naturally, I think they're going to see a quicker outcome, and they're going to see a complete outcome. And I always tell them, too, you're getting to be born all over again physically. And so you're having a healthy baby bouncing yourself. So give yourself time, just like you would if you were making a baby and having a baby. It would take 9 months, and then it would take labor and delivery, and then it would take raising the baby to have a beautiful friend in your child. It takes time and effort and work. And so you're doing that for your physical self. So treat yourself like a baby. Think about it that way. And you're in like a laboring, hard process of getting through it naturally. That's the truth. It's not easy. We don't wave a wand and go, cha-ching, you're all better now, with anything.
Right.
But if you could just decide, well, there's this thing called sin, death, suffering, and separation from God, and there's this thing called sickness now because of the fall that we just have to deal with. And you can deal with it 2 ways. You can go and you can just try to take drugs to make the symptoms go away and act like they can disappear, and then take a drug for the drug for the drug for the drug for the rest of your life and get into the system and be a good customer. Or you can decide to take care of yourself with authenticity and muscle through the hard times. And it's hard. It's hard to muscle through a fever with a little kid and not give them stuff and give them an enema and a vinegar bath and sit right with them and read them books all day. That's not an easy way to get through sickness. Giving them piggyback,
people don't have time for that, Kim. People don't have time for that. we don't have time to be parents anymore. We got to go do big things and conquer the world. That's what we have to do. And that's one of the issues. We've been told that being a parent like that is weakness and is unacceptable to society. We can't do that anymore. We're just too busy. So let's hurry up, give the kids some Tylenol, repress the symptoms, throw them back into daycare, and get back to work. That's how it works. And some parents have to do that because they are working, right? And they don't know these things. They truly just don't know these alternatives. They don't know. They don't know that they can use, immune boosting tincture from Nutritional Frontiers. They don't know that they can use, GI Complete with their kids when they're sick, when they have a flu bug or, anything like that. And all of these things are just nutrients for those children. And if you bring up nutritional pathways, your body will do what it's meant to do. So you weren't at the VIP dinner, but one of our doctors who were there used the cinchona to help somebody break a fever. So we have a new cinchona tincture that we offer. And, cinchona has been used historically, and it's actually the herb that that was first used to prove homeopathy. So I thought that was kind of cool because you take it enough, you get symptoms of malaria. And Hahnemann used it and actually got symptomatic with malaria, and he proved that, likes will treat likes. And so that was the very first herb that they ever did use to prove homeopathy. So he used the cinchona. But one of our doctors there said a gentleman had come into her practice. He was getting sick. He thought, maybe it was the COV type 2. And she said, here, try the cinchona, and here's some, super zinc and da-da-da-da-da. And so he went home. His fever spiked to 104, and I guess he called her or texted her because he was a little bit scared. And she was like, just wait. Your body's doing what it needs to do. Just hang in there. Use some cool rags and try to bring it down. And within an hour, it broke. And he was pretty sick. So that was kind of her testimony on the cinchona and how much she really liked it and the super zinc. But that's the thing. People don't want to wait, and people are scared. And, now you hear, don't do that with your kid. You're going to get a seizure. And, I had a pediatric nurse. She was a pediatric RN. She was the head of the pediatrics at our hospital here. And I called her one time because John was sick, and she was a good friend of mine. She said, if the fever's climbing slowly, that's okay. Just keep it, under control. Use your cool rags. And she's like, as long as we're not getting too high. She said, it's really not that it's climbing. She said, it's the rate at which it climbs. If you go from 99.6 to 104, that's seizure potential. But then she said that if it climbs slowly to 104, the body is actually doing what it's supposed to do. So I thought that was a good tip, just for people to know.
Right, very good. Yeah,
hey, maybe we need to have a field trip. Maybe we need a field trip to the farm, Tracey. We just take the team down to the farm.
Please come.
Yeah, it's pretty
Love
amazing.
company.
Yeah, she's been trying to get me down there forever. But I say yes, great. I'm all in. Field trip.
Field trip. There you go.
Well, something else
we have
cool
about 5 minutes left. Go ahead, Dr. Kim. We have about 5 minutes left, so.
Well, something else that's cool about this whole thing with the kids and the parents and you is if you can muscle through a sickness, you do develop immunity, just like you say, and especially with kids. I just think it's so remarkable. If a kid can actually get through a severe sickness, and I'll just use whooping cough for an example, if they can get through that naturally without suppressing it, but with supporting it and helping to carry them along and usher them through the trial, it's a big trial, they're immune against it for 35 to 40 years. And those kids, they've done a study, they do not develop allergies. They do not have breathing problems, and they have very, very low rates of ever developing a bronchial or an upper respiratory infection ever because of the workout the lungs get during that sickness. And when you get that sickness, the reason why you hoop or whoop or whatever is because the little bacteria eat all the villi off your bronchioles. So all the little hairs that filter out anything that would make you cough go away They're eaten up by this stuff. And then you cough and cough and cough that horrible way because you can't guard against any tiny little piece of dust that would make you cough and have these coughing fits. And so that's why it takes usually 3 months to heal from something like that, because that's how long it takes to grow back the villi. And I've had experience where if you get on top of it immediately, they don't have a chance to eat all the villi, and the sickness lasts for a month instead of 3, but you still have the same benefit of having that sickness. So even sickness is a way to build your health cache. It's a way to build your health cache because you have to get through it. We're all going to get sick sometimes. It's okay, everybody. Just breathe. It's really okay if you get sick sometimes. And getting sick is a little wake-up call for you to maybe adjust things and to make those adjustments in your life so that you can be healthy again and live healthy. I think we get lazy and then we start going through drive-thrus, or we start drinking the caffeine way too much, or we just get angry and we don't let it go, or whatever the things are that attack our health, and we don't adjust it.
Wow. Yeah. I
All
think
very
that
true.
there's so much. This kind of a show is so valuable because people need to hear this, and they don't hear it enough because they're programmed by their boob tube. You know, the boob tubes come back. Did you hear about that? It's back. When we were kids, they told us, don't watch too much TV. The boob tube make you dumb. Well, it's back, and it's back on steroids right now.
We're already
programming. Programming us. Wow. 3 beeps. That means we're out of time. I can't believe it. We got to have you back, Dr. Kim. I really think we need to go down for a team building exercise and see a real farm. I don't know how many people have really seen one. You know, it's probably the minority at this point. To see a real farm, not these factory farms. So, Trace, I think we're about out of time.
All right. Close us out, buddy. Thanks, Dr. Kim.
Well, Dr. Kim Fuhrmann.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Beautiful. Great information, Dr. Kim Fuhrmann. She's out there, folks. Look her up. Check her out. She's where's the farm? Down in Virginia, I believe. But my God, it would be worth the trip.
Yeah, how do they get in touch with you, Kim? Give us a quick number.
Oh, I think she already left.
Okay.
She already left. Call Nutritional Frontiers, folks. We'll give you the number to get in touch with Dr. Kim Fuhrmann. But remember, even through these times, and it's getting harder and harder every day, keep that attitude of gratitude. It's going to get better. I promise you, we will live long and prosper.
You've been listening to The Holistic Truth, sponsored by Nutritional Frontiers, a Pittsburgh-based professional nutraceutical company founded by Dr. James Weiner and Jamie Dorley. Listen again at this same time for The Holistic Truth.